everyone. Today we'll be reading more by PC Cast and Kristen Cast. Chapter 1. Just when I thought my day couldn't get any worse, I saw the dead guy standing next to my locker. Kayla was talking nonstop in her usual cape bubble, and she didn't even notice him. At first, actually, now that I think about it, no one else noticed him until he spoke, which is tragically more evidence of my freakish inability to fit in. No, but Zoe, I swear to God, he didn't get that drunk after the game. You really shouldn't be so hard on him. Yeah, I said absently. Sure, then I coughed. Again, I felt like crap. I must be coming down with what Mr. Wise, my more than slightly insecure AP biology teacher called the teenage plague. If I die, would it get me out of my geometry test tomorrow? One could only hope. Zoe, please, are you even listening? I think he only had like 4, I don't know, maybe 6 beers, maybe like 3 shots, but that's totally besides the point. You probably wouldn't even have had hardly any of your stupid parents hadn't made you go home right after the game. We share a long suffering look in total agreement about the latest injustice committed against me by my mom and the stop loser she married 3 really long years ago. Then after barely half a breath break, Kay was back at with the babbling. Plus, he was celebrating. I mean, we beat Union. Kay shook my shoulder and put her face close to mine. Hello, your boyfriend? My almost boyfriend, I corrected her, trying my best not to cough on her. Whatever. Heath is our quarterback, so of course he's going to celebrate. It's been like a million years since Broken Arrow beat Union. 16. I'm crappy at math, but gay math impatient makes me look like a genius. Again, whatever. The point is, he was happy. You shouldn't give the boy a break. The point is that he was wasted for like the 5th time this week. I'm sorry, but I don't want to go out with a guy whose main focus in life has changed from trying to play college football and to trying to chug a 6-pack without puking. Not to mention the fact that he's going to get fat from all that beer. I had to pause to cough. I was feeling a little dizzy and forced myself to take slow, deep breaths when the coughing fit was over. Not that Kay Babel noticed. Ew, Heath, fat, not a visual I want. I managed to ignore another urge to cough, and kissing him is like sucking on alcohol-soaked feet. Kay scrunched up her face. Okay, sick? Too bad he's so hot. I rolled my eyes, not bothering to try to hide my annoyance at her typical shallowness. You're so grumpy when you're sick. Anyway, you have no idea how lost puppy like Heath looked after you ignored him at lunch. He couldn't even. Then I saw him, the dead guy. Okay, I really realized pretty quick that he wasn't actually dead. He was undead, or unhuman, whatever. Scientists said one thing, people said another, but the end result was the same. There was no mistaking that what he had, and even if I hadn't felt the power and darkness that radiated from him, there was no freaking way I could miss his mark. The sapphire blue crescent moon on his forehead, and the additional tattoo of intertwined knotwork that framed his equally blue eyes. He was a vampire, and worse, he was a tracker. Well, crap, he was standing by my locker. Zoe, you're so not listening to me. Then the vampire spoke, and his criminal words slipped across the space between us. Dangerous and seductive, like blood mixed with melted chocolate. Zoe Montaguri, night has chosen thee. Thy death will be thy birth. Night calls to thee. Hearken to her sweet voice. Your destiny awaits you at the house of night. He lifted one long white finger pointing at me. As my forehead exploded in pain, Kaylin opened her mouth and screamed. When the bright splotches finally cleared from my eyes, I looked up to see Kay's colorless face staring down at me. As usual, I said the first ridiculous thing that came to mind. Kay, your eyes are popping out of your head like a fish. He marked you. Oh, Zoe, you have the outline of that thing on your forehead. And she pressed a shaking hand against her white lips, unsuccessfully trying to hold back a sob. I sat up and coughed. I had a killer headache, and I rubbed at the spot between my eyebrows. It stung as if a wasp had bit me in a radiating pain down around my eyes, all the way across my cheekbones. I felt like I might puke. Zoe, Kay was really crying now, and had to speak between wet little hiccups. Oh my God, that guy was a tracker, a vampire tracker. Kay, I blinked hard, trying to clear the pain from my head. Stop crying. You know I hate it when you cry. I reached out to attempt a comforting pat on her shoulder, and she automatically cringed and moved away from me. I couldn't believe it. She actually cringed, like she was afraid of me. She must have seen the hurt in my eyes because instantly started a string of breathless cave babble. Oh my God, Zoe, what are you going to do? You can't go to that place. You can't be one of those things. This can't be happening. Who am I supposed to go to all our football games with? I noticed that all during her trial she couldn't even move any closer to me. I clamped down on the sick, hurt feeling inside that threatened to make me burst into tears. My eyes dried instantly. I was good at hiding tears. I should be. I had 3 years to get good at it. It's okay. I figured this out. It's probably some bizarre mistake. I lied. I wasn't really talking. I was just making words come out of my mouth. Still gambling at the pain in my head, I stood up. Looking around, I felt a small measure of relief that Kay and I were the only ones in the math hall, and then I had to choke back what I knew was hysterical laughter. Had I not been totally psycho about the geometry test from hell scheduled for tomorrow, and had to run back to my locker to get my books so I couldn't attempt to obviously and pointlessly study tonight, the tracker would have found me standing outside in front of the school with the majority of the 1,300 kids who went to Broken Arrow South Intermediate High School, waiting for what my stupid Barbie clone sister liked to smudgingly call the big yellow limos. I have a car, but standing around with the less fortunate who have to ride the buses is a time-honored tradition, not to mention an excellent way to check out who's hitting on who. As it was, there was only one other kid in the math hall, a tall, thin dork with messed up teeth, which I could unfortunately see too much of because he was standing there with his mouth open, staring at me just like I'm giving birth to a litter of flying pigs. I coughed again, this time a really wet, disgusting cough. The dog made a squeaky little sound and scuttled down the hall to Miss Day's room, clutching a flat board on his bony chest. Guess the chess club had changed its meeting time to Mondays after school. Do vampires play chess? Were there vampire dorks? Were there any vampire emos with their guy wearing girl pants weirdness and whose awful bangs that cover half of their face? Or were they really freaky goth kids who don't like to bathe much? Was I going to turn into a goth kid or worse, an emo? I didn't particularly like wearing black, at least not exclusively. I wasn't feeling a sudden and awful, unfortunate aversion to soap and water, nor did I have an sudden desire to change my hairstyle and wear too much eyeliner. All this whirled through my mind while I felt another little hysterical bubble of laughter try to escape from my throat, and was almost thankful when it came out as a cough instead. Zoe, are you okay? Kayla's voice sounded too high, like someone was pinching her, and she'd taken another step away from me. I sighed and felt my first sliver of anger. It wasn't like I asked for this. Kay and I have been best friends since third grade, and now she was looking at me like I had turned into a monster. Kayla, Kayla, it's just me, the same me I was 2 seconds ago, and 2 hours and 2 days ago. I made a frustration gesture toward my throbbing head. This doesn't change who I am. Kay's eyes turned up again, but thankfully her cell phone started singing Madonna's Material Girl. Automatically, she glanced at the caller ID. I could tell by her rabbit in the headlights expression that it was her boyfriend Jared. Go on, I said in a flat, tired voice. Ride home with him. Her look of grief was like a slap in the face. Call me later, she threw over her shoulder as she beat a hasty retreat out the side door. I watched her rush across the east lawn to the parking lot. I could see that she had her cell phone smashed to her ear and was talking in an manic little burst to Jared. I'm sure she was already telling him I was turning into a monster. The problem, of course, was that turning into a monster was the brighter of my two choices. Choice number one, I turned into a vampire, which equals a monster in just about any human mind. Choice number two, my body rejects the change and I die forever. So the good news is that I wouldn't have to take that geometry test tomorrow. The bad news was that I have to move into the house at night, a private boarding school in Tulsa's Midtown, known by all my friends as the Vampire Finishing School, where I would spend the next 4 years going through bizarre and unnameable physical changes, as well as a total and permanent life shakeup. And that's only if the whole process didn't kill me. Great. I didn't want to do either. I just wanted to attempt to be normal despite the burden of my mega conservative parents, my troll-like younger brother, and my oh-so-perfect older sister. I wanted to pass geometry. I wanted to keep my grades up so that I could get accepted into veterinarian school at OSU and get out of Brooklyn Arrow, Oklahoma. But most of all, I wanted to fit in at least at school. Home had become less hopeless, so all I was left with were my friends and my life away from my family. That being taken away from me too. I rubbed my forehead and then messed up my hair until it semi-covered my eyes, and with any luck, the mark had appeared above them. Keeping my head ducked down like I was fantasizing with the goo that somehow formed in my purse. I hurried toward the door that led to the student parking lot. But I stopped short of going outside, though the side-by-side windows and the institutional looking doors I could see Heath. Girls flocked around him, posing and flipping their hairs while guys rivet ridiculously big pickup trucks and tried but mostly failed to look cool. Doesn't it figure that I would choose that to be attracted to? No. To be fair to myself, I should remember that he used to be incredibly sweet, and even now he had his moments, mostly when he bothered to be sober. High-pitched girls' giggles floated to me from the parking lot. Great. Kathy Richard, the biggest hoe in school, was pretending to smack Keith. Even from where I was standing, it was obviously she was thought hitting him with some kind of mating ritual. As usual, clueless Heath was just standing there and grinning. Well, hell, my day just wasn't going to be there, about to get any better. And there sat my Robin, a blue 1960 VW Bug, right in the middle of them. No, I couldn't go out there. I couldn't walk into the middle of all of them with this big thing on my forehead. I'd rather be able to be a part of them again. I already knew too well that what they'll do. Remember that kid that Tracker had chosen at SIHUS? It happened at the beginning of the school year last year. The tracker had come before school and started and had targeted the kid as he was walking into his first hour. I didn't see the tracker, but I did see the kid afterward. For just a second after he dropped his books and ran out of the building, his new mark glowing on his pale forehead and tears washing down his too white cheek. I never forgot how crowded the hall had been that morning and how everyone backed away from him just like he had the plague as he rushed to escape out the front doors of the school. I had been one of those kids who had backed out of his way and stared, even though I felt really sorry for him. I just hadn't wanted to be labeled as that one girl who's friends with those freaks. Sort of ironic now, isn't it? Instead of going to my car, I headed for the nearest restroom, which was thankfully empty. There were 3 stalls, yes. I double checked for each for feet. On one wall there were 2 sinks over which hung 2 medium-sized mirrors. Across from the sinks, the opposite wall was covered with a huge mirror that had a ledge below it for holding brushes and makeup and whatnot. I put my purse and my geometry book on the ledge, took a deep breath and in one motion lifted my head and brushed back my hair. It was like staring into the face of a familiar stranger. You know, that person you see in a crowd where you know, but you really don't know. She was me, a familiar stranger. She had my eyes. They were the same hazel color that would never decide whether they wanted to be green or brown. But my eyes had never been that big and round, or had they? She had my hair, long and straight, and almost as dark as my grandma's had been before hers had begun to turn silver. The stranger had my high cheekbones, long, strong nose, and wide mouth. More features from my grandma and her Cherokee ancestors, but my face had never been that pale. I always been olive-ish, much darker skin than anyone else in my family, but maybe it wasn't that my skin was suddenly so white. Maybe it just looked pale in comparison to the dark blue outline of the crescent moon that was perfectly positioned in the middle of my forehead. Or maybe it was that horrific fluorescent lighting. I hope it was the lighting. I stared at the exotic looking tattoo mixed with my strong Cherokee features. It seems to brand me with a mark of wildness, as I would belong to ancient times when the world was bigger and more barbaric. From this day, from this day on, my life would never be the same, and for a moment Just as an instant, I forgot about the honor of not being belonging and felt a shock of burst of pleasure while deep inside of me the blood of my grandmother's people rejoiced. Chapter 2. When I figured that enough time had passed for everyone to have left school, I flopped my hair back over my forehead and left the bathroom. Hurrying to the doors that led to the student parking lot, everything seemed all clear. There was just some random kid wearing those exotic, unattractive gang wannabe baggy pants cutting across the far end of the lot. Keeping his pants from falling down as he walked was taking all his concentration. He wouldn't even notice me. I gritted my teeth against the throbbing pain in my forehead and bolted out the door, heading straight for my little bug. The moment I stepped outside, the sun began to batter me. I mean, it wasn't a particular sunny day. There was plenty of those big fluffy clouds that looked so pretty in the picture floating around the sky, semi-blocking the sun, but that didn't matter. I had to squint my eyes painfully and hold my head up as make-believe sun block against, even though it was intermittent light. I guess it was because I was focusing so hard on the point that the ordinary sunlight was causing me that I didn't notice that the truck until it screeched up to it stopped in front of me. Hey Zoe, didn't you get my message? Oh crap, crap, crap. It was he. I glanced up, looking at him from between my fingers like I was watching one of those stupid slasher movies. He was sitting on the open tailgate of his friend Dustin's pickup truck. Over his shoulder, I could see into the cab of the truck where Dustin and his brother Drew were doing what they were usually doing, wrestling around and arguing over God only knows what stupid boy thing. Thankfully, they were ignoring me. I glanced back at Heath and saw he had a beer in his hand and a goofy grin on his face. Momentarily forgetting that I had just been marked and was destined to become an outcast, blood-sucking monster, I scrolled at Heath. You're drinking at school? Are you crazy? His little boy grin got bigger. Yes, I am crazy about you, baby. I shook my head while I turned my back to him, opening the creaky door to my bug and shoving my books and backpack into the passenger seat. Why aren't you guys at football practice? I said, still keeping my face angled away from him. Didn't you hear? We got the day off because the ass kicking we gave Union on Friday. Dustin and Drew must have been kind of paying attention to Heath and me after all. Did a couple of very okay woohoo and yells from inside the cab. Oh, no, I must have missed that announcement because I've been busy today. You know, big geometry testimony. I tried to sound normal and non-trahant. Then I coughed and had it. Plus, I'm getting a very crappy cold. So, really, are you pissed or something? Like, did Kelly say something about the party? You know, I didn't really cheat on you, huh? Kelly had not said one sorry word about Heath cheating on me. Like a morning, I forgot. Okay, temporarily about my new mark. My hat snapped around so I could get glam. What did you do, Joe? Me? You know I wouldn't, but his innocent act and his excuses faded into an unattracted, open-mouthed look of shock when he caught sight of my mouth. What the? He started to say, but I couldn't. Oh, shh. I jerked my head in the direction of the still clueless Dustin and Drew, who were now singing at the top of their totally tone-deaf lungs to latest Toby Keith CD. His eyes were still wide and shocked, but he lowered his voice. Is that some kind of new makeup thing, or are you going for drama class? No, I whispered, it's not. But you can't be Martin. We're going out. We are not going out. And just like that, my semi-received responsive form coughing ended. I presently doubled over, hacking a similarly nasty pleasure comb. Hazel dust cough from it. You gotta lay off those cigarettes. Yeah, and you sound like you're going to cough up like a lung or something, Drew said. Dude, leave her alone. You know she doesn't smoke. She's a vampire. Great. Wonderful. Heath, with his usual total and complete lack of anything resembling good sense, thought he was actually standing up for me as he yelled at his friends, who instantly stuck their heads out of the open windows and growled at me like I was in a science experiment. Well, shit, Zoe. Zoe's a freaking freak, Drew said. Drew instantly words made the anger that had been simmering somewhere inside of my chest ever since Kayla had cringed for me bubbling up and boiling over. Ignoring the pain the sun caused me, I stared at Drew and me in his eyes. Shut the hell up. I have had a really bad day and I do not need this crap from you. I paused to look from the now wide-eyed and silent Drew to Dustin and added, "Are you?" And as I kept eye contact with Dustin, I realized something that shocked and really excited me. Dustin looked scared, really scared. I glanced back at Drew. He looked scared too. Then I felt it. A tingling sensation that crawled over my skin and made my new mark burn. Power. I felt power. So what the fudge? His voice broke my attention and pulled my gaze from the brothers. We're out of here, Dustin said, throwing the truck into gear and stepping on the gas. The pickup launched forward, causing Heath to lose his balance and slide with a windmill of arms and flying beer on top to the blacktop of the parking lot. Automatically, I rushed forward. Are you okay? He was on his hands and knees, and I bent down to help pull him to his feet. Then I smelled something. Smelled amazing, hot and sweet and delicious. Was he wearing new cologne? One of those weird phenomenon things that was supposed to attract women like a big gigantic injured bug zapper. I didn't realize how close I was to him until he was standing up straight and our bodies were almost pressed together. He looked down at me, a question in his eyes. I didn't back away from him. I should have. I would have before, but now, not today. Zoe, he said softly, his voice deep and husky. You smell really good. I couldn't stop myself from saying. My heart was pounding so loud that I could hear its echo in my throbbing temple. Zoe, I have really missed you. We need to get back together. You know I really love you. He reached up to touch my face, and both of us noticed the blood that smeared the palm of his hand. Oh shit, I guess he closed his voice closed off when he glanced at my face. I could only imagine what I must look like with my face all white, my new mark blazing outline in sapphire blue, and my eyes staring wide at the blood on his hand. I couldn't move. I couldn't look away. I whispered, I want. What did I want? I couldn't put it into words.
Here, baby, here's your coffee. Now, careful, it's hot, okay?
I couldn't put it into words. No, that wasn't it. I couldn't put it into words. Wouldn't say aloud the overwhelming surge of white-hot desire that was trying to drown me. And it wasn't because he was standing so near. He'd been close to me before. Hell, we been making out for a year, and he never made me feel like this. Nothing ever like this. I bit my lip and moaned. The pickup truck squeaked to a halt, fishtailing beside us. Drew jumped out and grabbed Heath around the waist and jerked him backwards into the cab of the truck. Knock it off, I'm talking to Zoe. He tried to struggle against Drew, but the kid was Broken Arrow's senior linebacker and truly ginormous. Dustin reached around him and slammed the door to the truck. Leave him alone, you freak. Drew yelled at me as Dustin floored the truck and this time they really did speed off. I got into my bug. My hand was shaking really hard. I had to try it 3 times before I could get the engine to start. Just get home. I said the words over and over between wrenching coughs as I drove. I wouldn't think about what had happened. I couldn't think about what had just happened. The drive home took 15 minutes, but it seemed to pass in the blink of an eye. Too soon, I was sitting in the driveway trying to get ready for the scene I knew. Sure as lightning follows thunder was waiting inside for me. Why had I been so eager to get here? I suppose I shouldn't technically been all that eager. I suppose I'd just been escaping from what had happened in the parking lot with Heath. No, I wasn't going to think about that now. But in any way, there was probably some kind of rational explanation, a rational and simple explanation. Dustin and Drew were retarded and totally immature beard brains. I hadn't used the creepy new power to imitate them. They had just been freaked out that I'd been marked. That was it. I mean, people were scared of vampires, but I'm not a vampire, I said, and I coughed while I remember how hysterical, beautiful Heath's blood had been in the rush of desire I felt for it. Not heat, but Heath's blood. No, no, no. Blood was not beautiful or desirable. I must be in shock. That's it. That has to be it. I was in shock and not thinking clearly. Okay. Absently, I touched my forehead. It had stopped burning and it still felt different. I coughed for the zillionth time. Fine. I wouldn't think about heat, but I couldn't deny it anymore. I felt different. My skin was ultra sensitive. My chest hurt, and even though I had my cool gem sunglasses on, my eyes kept tearing up painfully. I'm dying, I moaned, and then permanently clenched my lips shut. I might actually be dying. I glanced up at the big brick house that, after 3 years, still hadn't become like home. Get it over with. Just get it over with. At least my sister wouldn't be home yet. Cheerleader in practice. Hopefully the troll would be totally hypnotized by his new Delta Force. Black Hawk. Down video game. I might have mom to myself. Maybe she would understand. Maybe she wouldn't know what to do. Hell, I was 16 years old, but suddenly I realized that I wanted nothing as much as I wanted my mom. Please let her understand, I whispered as a simple prayer to whatever god or goddess might be listening. As usual, I went in through the garage. I walked down the hall to my room and dumped my geometry book, purse, and backpack on my bed. Then I took a deep breath and headed a little shakily to find my mom. She was in the family room, curled up on the couch, sipping a cup of coffee and reading Chicken Soup for a Woman's Soul. She looked so normal, so much like she used to look, except that she used to read exotic romances and actually wear makeup, but both were things her new husband didn't allow. What a turd. Mom? Huh? She didn't look up at me. I swallowed hard. Mama. I used the name I used to call her back in the days before she married John. I need your help. I didn't know whether it was the unexpected use of mama or if something in my voice touched an old piece of mom intuition she still had somewhere inside of her, but the eyes she lifted immediately from the book were soft and filled with concern. What is it, baby? She began, and then her words seemed to freeze on her lips as she found them more coming. Oh my God. What have you done now? My heart started hurting again. Mom, I didn't do anything. This is something that happened to me. Not because of me. It's not my fault. Oh, please, no. She wailed as if I haven't said it. What is your father going to say? I wanted to scream. How the hell would any of us know what my father was going to say? We haven't seen or heard from him for 14 years. But I knew it wouldn't be any good, and it was always just made her mad when I reminded her that John was not my real father. So I tried a different tactic. One had given up 3 years ago. Mama, please, can you just not tell him? At least for a day or two, just keep it between us, the two of us, until we, I don't know, get used to it or something. I held my breath, but what would I say? You can't even go cover that thing up with makeup. Her lips curled weirdly as she gave the crescent moon a nervous glance. Mom, I didn't mean that. I stay here while we get used to it. I have to go. You know that. I had to pause while with a huge cough made my shoulders shake. The tractor marked me. I have to move to the house of night or I'm going to get sicker and sicker and then die. I tried to tell her with my eyes. I couldn't actually say the words. I just want a couple of days before I have to deal with. I broke off so I didn't have to say his name. This time personally making myself cough, which was, what would I tell your father? I felt a rush of fear at the panic in her voice. Wasn't she the mom? Wasn't she supposed to have the answers instead of the question? Just, just tell him I'm spending the next couple of days at Kayla's house because we have a big biology project due. I watched my eyes, I watched my mom's eyes change. This concern faded from them and replaced by a hardness that I recognize all too well. So what are you? So what you're saying is that you want me to lie to him? No, Mom. What I'm saying is that I want you, for once, to put what I need before what he wants. I want you to be my mama, to help me pack and to drive with me to this new school because I'm scared and I'm sick and I don't know if I can do it all by myself. I finished in a rush, breathing hard and coughing into my hand. I wasn't aware that I had stopped being your mom, she said coldly. She had made me feel even more tired than Kayla had. I thought, I think that's the problem, Mom. You don't care enough to be aware of it. You haven't cared about anything but John since you married him. Her eyes now. I don't know how you can be so selfish. Don't you realize all that he's done for us? Because of him, I quit that awful job at Dillard's. Because of him, we don't have to worry about money and we have this big, beautiful house. Because of him, we have security and a bright future. I heard those words so often I couldn't have recited them with her. It was at this point in our non-conversation that I usually apologized and went back to my room, but today I couldn't apologize. Today I was different. Everything was different. No, Mother. The truth is that because of him, you haven't paid any attention to your kids for 3 years. Did you know that your oldest daughter had turned into a sneaky, spoiled slut who screwed half of the football team? Do you know what nasty, bloody video games Kevin keeps hiding from you? No, of course you don't. The two of them act happy and pretend to like John, and the whole damn make-believe family thing, so you smile at them and pray for them and let them do whatever. And me, you think I'm the bad one because I don't pretend because I'm honest. You know what? I'm so sick of my life, and I'm glad the tracker marked me. They call me that. They called that vampire school House of Night, but it didn't, and it can't be any darker than this perfect home. Before I could cry or scream, I rolled around and stalked back to my bedroom, slamming the door behind me. I hope they all drown. Though the two thin walls, I could hear her making an hysterical call to John. There was no doubt that he rushed home to deal with me, the problem, instead of sitting on the bed and crying like I attempted to. I emptied the school crap out of my backpack like I needed it where I was going. They probably don't have normal classes. They probably have classes like ripping people throats out 101 and intro to see how into the dark, whatever. No matter what my mom did or didn't do, I couldn't stay here. I had to leave. So what did I need to take with me? My two favorite pairs of jeans besides what I had on. A couple of black t-shirts. I mean, what else do vampires wear? Plus they are skinny or slimmer. I almost passed on my cute aqua-colored sparkly cam, but all that black was bound to make me more depressed, so I included it. Then I stuffed tons of bras and thongs in my hair and makeup things into the side pouches. I almost left my stuffed animals Otis and Sushi. I couldn't say fish when I was two or on my pillow. Well, vampire or not, I didn't think I could sleep for a while without him. So I tucked him gently into the damn backpack. Then I heard the knock on my door, and its voice called me out of my room. What? I yelled, and then I converted into a buzz of nasty because Zoe, your mother and I need to speak with you. Wait, clearly they didn't drown. I patted Otis, Sushi. Oh, this sucks. I squeezed my shoulders, coughing again, and went out into face the enemy. Chapter 3. At first glance, my stop loser, John Heffer, appears to be an okay guy, even normal. Yeah, that's really his last name, and Sally, it is also my mom's last name. She's Miss Heffer. Can you believe it? When he and my mom started dating, I actually overheard some of my mom's friends calling him handsome and charming. At first, of course. Now Mom has a whole new group of friends. One Mr. Handsome and Charming things are more appropriate than the group of fun single women she used to hang out with. I never really liked him. Really, I didn't. I'm not just saying that because I can't stand him. From the first day I met him, I only saw only one thing, a fake. He fakes being a nice guy. He fakes being a good husband. He even fakes being a good father. He looks like every other dad age guy. He has dark hair, skinny chicken legs, and is getting a gut. His eyes are like a washed out cold brownish color. I walked into the family room to find him standing by the couch. My mom was crumbled near the end of it, clutching his hand. Her eyes were already red and watery. Great. She was going to play her hysterical mother. It's an act she does well. John had begun to attempt to assure me with his eyes, but my mark distracted him. His face twisted in anguish. Get thee behind me, Satan, he quoted in what I think of his sermon voice. I sighed. It's not Satan, it's just me. Now is not the time for sarcasm, Zoe. Mom said, I'll handle this, hun. The stop loser said, patting her shoulder abruptly before he turned his attention back to me. I told you that your bad behavior and your attitude problem would catch up with you. I'm not even surprised it happened this soon. I shook my head. That I expected this. I really expected this, and still it was a shock. The entire world knew there was nothing more anyone could do to bring on the change. The whole if you get bit by a vampire, you'll die and become one thing is strictly fiction. Scientists have been trying to figure out what caused the sequence of physical events that led to vampirism for years, hoping that if they figure it out, they could cure it, or at the very least, invent a vaccine to fight against it. So far, no such luck, but now, John Heffer, my stock loser, had suddenly discovered that bad teenage behavior, specifically my bad behavior, which mostly concerned of an occasional lie, some pissed off thoughts, and smart ass comments, discreet, directed primarily against my parents, and maybe some semi harmless lust for Austin Kutcher. Sad to say, he likes older women. Actually brought about this physical reaction in my body. Well, hell, who knows? I'm just trying to get comfortable. Ouch. This wasn't something I caused. I finally managed to say this wasn't done because of me. It was done to me. Every scientist on the planet agrees with that. Scientists are not all knowing. They are not men of God. I just stared at him. He was an elder of the people of faith, a position he was oh so proud of. It was one of the reasons Mom had been attracted to him. And on strictly logical level, I could understand why. Being an elder meant that a man was successful. He had the right job, a nice house, the perfect family. He was supposed to do the right things and believe the right way. On paper, he should have been a great choice for her new husband and our father. Too bad the paper wouldn't have shown the full story. Now, periodically, he was going to play the elder card and throw God in my face. I would bet my Kunu Steve Madden flat that it irritated God as much as it annoyed me. I tried again. We studied this in AP Biology. It's a physiological reaction that takes place in some teenagers' bodies as their hormone levels rise. I paused, thinking really hard and totally proud of myself for remembering something I learned last semester. In certain people, the hormone trigger something or other, and I thought harder and remembered a junk DNA strand which starts with the whole change. I smiled, but not really at John, but because I was thrilled by my ability to recall stuff from a unit we had done with for months. I knew the smile was a mistake when I saw the familiar clinking of his jaw. God's knowledge surpasses science, and it's blasphemy for you to say otherwise, young lady. I never said scientists are smarter than God. I threw my hands up and tried to strive a cough. I'm just trying to explain this thing to you. I don't need to have anything explained to me by a 16-year-old. Well, he was wearing those really bad pants and that awful shirt. Clearly, he didn't have some things explained to him by a teenager. But I didn't think it was the right time to mention his unfortunate and obvious fashion impingement. But John, honey, what are we going to do about her? What will the neighbors say? Her face paled even more and snuffed out a little sob. What will people say at meeting on Sunday? He narrowed his eyes. When I opened my mouth to answer, he interrupted before I could speak. We are going to do what any good family should do. We are going to give this to God. They had sent me to a convent. Unfortunately, I had to deal with another round of coughing, so he kept right on talking. We are going to call Dr. Asher. He'll know what to do to calm the situation. Wonderful fellow. He's calling in our family strength. The incredible, expressionless man. Perfect. Linda, call Dr. Asher's emergency number, and then I think it would be wise to activate the prayer phone tree. Make sure that other elders know that they are to gather here. My mom nodded and gathered and started to get up, but the words that burst from my mouth made her flop back down on the couch. What? Your answer is to call a shrink and who is totally clueless about teenagers and get all those uptight elders over here? Like they would even begin to try and understand. No, don't you get it? I have to leave tonight. I coughed, a little gut wrenching sound from my chest. See, this will just get worse if I don't get around the. I hesitated. Why was it so